Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon. Last episode, we went and added in a kelp farm connected to a smelter so we could get a little bit of kelp going in our spire, and we put in a small little island for a cactus farm. And since then, we have been rather busy. So we went and put up these signs here. These are just all the things that we still have left to do in the redstone pit. So our oak sign here is just for digging out the pit. Our birch ones are things to go into the spire. Spruce is farms that still need to be added. And dark oak is all of the islands that still need to be built or detailed. In fact, it's not quite all of the islands that need that. I didn't have enough dark oak signs and didn't feel like making any more. So it is most of them. I think it's just one or two islands that aren't listed on there. And this is just about everything that we have left to do in this area. And I've also just been working on digging out the pit because that's one of the bigger projects and trying to deal with all of the vines that we currently have growing on the outside of the spire, and they are getting quite out of control. So, one of the things that I've been dealing with has been these vines just growing everywhere. So we've got grow lichen and we've got coral fans spread across our area here just to stop them from growing. And I've been trying to find something to do that wasn't string, that actually fit in. And what I've decided was resin. I completely forgot about this stuff, and it prevents our vines from growing all over the place. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it does seem to work. So that is really nice. And it'll help us actually keep the vines on here, which I do think looks really, really nice. Just not all over the place. So today, what I'm thinking is we should probably get a resin farm in. Got the Creaking heart. That's how we have as much as we do. Decided we needed some to actually make sure we had a sorting section for it, since we can't turn that into blocks. So we just need to figure out where that's going to go and how we're going to do that. I've seen some designs for one of these, and I would love to try and make my own, but I'm going to look and see what we can do. It's going to be interesting since I'm not sure how we're going to get the island on it with the creaking being able to spawn on anything. So we may have to figure out how to lure it into one spot at night. Don't know if we can keep it during the day or something. Still produce resin. So we'll have to play around with that and see how it goes. So I'm going to go and find a spot for that. Probably somewhere up higher since that's what we've been trying to do. We could go lower. We have some more space dug out down below. This side is very crowded. So probably up higher. And then I'll be back. All right, so instead of going farther up, I decided that we could do a nice small little island here in this section here. We don't really have a whole lot because this area is really overshadowed by the iron farm. So I've kind of avoided working in this area a whole lot. But what I'm thinking is that we can go ahead and put in a small little section here in which we can go ahead and put in a trident killer. I believe this is the right way we want to do it. And we're going to have to take out the torch here. And let's go and put it back here, or fall through the island, apparently. But what I'm planning for this is we'll have our trident killer here in the middle. What this will do is we'll go ahead and run our redstone lines around here, and we'll put our creaking here in the middle. Gonna have to grab a name tag out for it, just so that we have that set up and we don't have to worry about it despawning on us. But I think this should work for at least this portion of the farm. I did test out some other methods, and it turns out that the Creaking is completely immune to all environmental damage. So that means that wither roses, magma blocks, and lava. Now we are going to need another section that's going to have our Creaking heart, and that's going to go inside our island. And I think these repeaters need to go the other way. But we'll go and have that in its own kind of little room. And we'll have some pistons here to go and break the resin clumps off of that. And then we'll have to go and have some sort of collection system underneath. What that's going to look like, I haven't quite decided yet. So far, we do need to just get our Creaking in place so that we have that ready to go. Now, I'm not going to really put too much into the walls of this because I don't even know if this is going to spawn in the right spot. So we'll have to play around with that. Which the easiest thing to do for that would be just to go and get our pale oak pillar set up in here. So we're going to take our pistons and we're going to go ahead and put this pretty much underneath the center of the island here. So we're going to put 4 of them in a ring on top. That's going to take care of our resin that's going to spawn on top of these. So we need that there. We need our Creaking heart. And it looks like I built this one block too high. Okay. Let's go ahead and lower that. And I think that might be a block too low. It is. Okay. Actually, that sounds like it spawned up on top. So that's actually good. Can we get it trapped? No. Where is it? That's not a good sign. We don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it now. So we'll have to find some way of getting it up on top of our island here. Probably going to have to figure out some way to just lure it up there. But we'll have to go ahead and get our redstone set up for those pistons. I'd like to just put something in the middle here to trigger them all at once. But this might be a little close to the top of the island if we want to do that. Oh, I'd love to get it so that this triggers all of these pistons here. At the same time, it triggers the bottom ones. But I'm not sure that that's going to work. Now, with the Creaking down here, what we can do is we can test if triggering this piston is going to push the log if we have our resin on it, which means we now have to find where the Creaking went, and also get ourselves a stone button or something so we can trigger the piston, which I think we got plenty of stone to build up the island here. So let's go ahead and get that in place. Go smack the Creaking a few times with our sword. Let's see, about 4 or 5 times or so, maybe. Go ahead and do that. That should get us enough resin on there. Ooh, it moves fast. Okay, that's gonna work. Excellent. This might actually work. We can get it in place where we want it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the pistons in place around here. Maybe start drafting up the island a little bit, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we managed to get very lucky here, and we now have a Creaking in our island here. So if we just look away from him for a little bit, should be able to get him to start moving again. Nope, not quite into there. There we go. And that's a little too far. Can we just nudge him in? No. Oh, nope, he's moving. He's moving. Okay, apparently we can't actually nudge them. So let's get our trident back in place in there. Oh, if we can just get him into... There we go. Okay. So now that he's in there, we can start kind of building this up. Should stay still while we're working on this, because he'll be in our sight this entire time. Go name tag him and go with anything fancy. And now put down stone button here. That was not quite quick enough. And I forgot that they'd be able to get out with the pistons here from a 2-block tall space. So now we're gonna have to go and get this guy back into the chamber, which is going to be fun. It looks like he's just walking around on the outside, so we'll have to break these blocks since we can't knock him in or drop him into the chamber. That doesn't seem to be the case. This is good. at least now when it comes day that it's not going to despawn on us. Probably need to turn this trident killer up a little bit faster, but this was the best I could do with a single stone button. But there we go. We now, if I can actually put this in right, have a creaking chamber that should slowly produce us some resin. And he's back out of there again. Great. Well, I guess we're going to make this 3 blocks tall just to make sure that he can't escape from here. I'm going to have to lure him back in. I think we should just be able to stand on here and get him to walk into the chamber that way. There we go. Now, it does look like he's currently standing on the pistons, so we'll have to go ahead and do something about that. But it does seem like this is working. Now, underneath, we just have some hoppers here to collect the resin. That might actually be going a little fast. I went with a minecart clock to get this to run, but it does look like it is a little fast for the amount of resin that this is producing. So we'll go ahead and turn off the clock for right now so that maybe we can actually get some resin produced on here. But once it's in, that should just break everything. It should fall directly into the hoppers and we should be able to collect it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on decorating this, maybe play around with the timings on our clock. I might try a different clock that's a little slower for the pistons to break the resin, and maybe figure out a better way of getting our creaking in here to stay in one spot and not jump up on the pistons. I think that this might work. It's doing that. So now shouldn't be able to get on top of the pistons. Probably put in some glass or something in here. Maybe we could probably just break out these middle sections here if we wanted to. Not really needed. And then we could actually watch and observe and see when this is working. And if we want, we can speed this up ourselves. So I'm going to have to go ahead and definitely speed this up quite a bit because this is not working particularly well. It is forming a clock here though, so that's good. And then I'll be right back. All right, so been sitting up on top of the tree farm island to let this thing run. Doesn't really work if we're too close because we'd be looking at the creaking. And we have quite a few stacks of resin now. So this is actually a fairly effective farm. Doesn't work when it's daytime, but it is working well enough that we can actually get a decent amount of resin to decorate with. Now, we still don't have very much of the island in, and I'm thinking we'll probably add resin clumps to that, like what we did for the coral farm island with corals and the moss farm island that still needs some moss added to it. And I think that'll be good. But I got a message from Puck saying that portal has opened up at the portal tree in the fairy forest, so we should probably go check out what happened there. Alright, so I grabbed the shulker box to put our stuff in because it's not really safe to go through mysterious portals with all of our stuff on. Puck is currently sitting at the little fountain, and it looks like we've got a block there. I wonder if maybe that came through the portal from whatever is on the other side. I'll have to hang that from the tree to stabilize this thing. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere over here could work. I'm not used to having stuff come through the portal from another dimension. Usually it's something we have to get from there. We'll have to get some chains to hang that. But go ahead and get our stuff put away. Leave Puck in charge of putting that on the tree. Stabilize the portal. I'm sure we probably have some iron somewhere around here that we could use, but I'm not entirely certain. But with that put away, let's see what's on the other side of this thing.